Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, getting up there near $47,000. Take a look over there at the altcoin market and peek over there at the United States stock market as it gets set to open in less than 1 minute. We'll also peek over there at the US dollar currency index, the DXY, precious metals, any type of financial news and crypto news going on out there as we get ready to kick our day off and get started. First things first, Bitcoin, 46,769. If you've been following this, it's a bittersweet moment to see the price get this high for Bitcoin, because this is something we've talked about for a long, long time. It's one of those moments where you want to be like, see, I was right. But you start posting about it and warning about it on Twitter, and it's the same thing that I always tell you guys that it's always going to be, is that you become the enemy again. It always ends up happening that way. But, you know, as you can see, the market cap of Bitcoin has now hit the 618 retracement level, which means that for the last year and a half, it has all been correct that Bitcoin would go back into a retrace. It is there. Today, we do have the first print of extreme greed in the market. So we do have extreme greed now here in Bitcoin. As we've gotten back up in here, I've seen all kinds of posts all over Twitter of people saying we're going way up. Anything that I'm posting showing any of this type of stuff is met with extreme calling me a fudster on Twitter. But that's just how it goes, right, guys? So it's kind of a moment to... And I get it. It's very difficult because there's an extreme news narrative happening here. We're on the eve of when a Bitcoin ETF decision is supposed to be made, but it just so happens to be happening as we're back at the retracement levels. And I was walking around this morning and just thinking to myself, you know, like all the comments, all the people who are so into the ETF decision, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how the market's going to react the second that thing gets approved, doesn't get approved, or after it releases, you know, if there's extreme buy pressure, or if it's a total dud and if nobody's buying it, if it doesn't meet expectations, what any of that means. We just, you know, we're walking into uncharted territory. But what I do know is there is extreme greed in the market. There is a lot. It is all retail, right? It is all retail that has this extreme greed, that thinks they're early and that thinks they're front running the ETF. And anybody, I just challenge anybody who has ever attempted to make decisions based off narratives, how that is panned for you. You know, what was going on right here? This is when Tesla announces that they've bought Bitcoin, right? Here's where Tim Cook from Apple says people should have Bitcoin and Ethereum as part of their investment portfolio. This is, you know, FTX collapse. Reversals are not usually marked with extreme negativity. They're typically marked with, or not extreme negativity, whatever direction you're looking for it to go in, the market is typically going to have the opposite narrative, right? If you're wanting the market to go up, you're usually going to be met with extreme negativity and extreme retail investor pessimism. When the market is looking to reverse from a peak, you're usually going to have good news, and you're going to have extreme retail optimism, and, you know, a lot of times really nice narratives attached to it as well. So as we get ready for this, thing to happen here in the next day, I guess the expectation is that the decision will be made tomorrow, and that if it is approved, that trading would start Thursday. for Bitcoin ETFs. Retail is under the impression they have front run it, and that it will go to moon afterwards. So it's one of those things. Do I hope that it goes to the upside? Of course, I hope it goes to the upside. But the whole plan for the last year and a half, while we have fought tooth and nail against the 12Kers, against all the hedging, all the other stuff, all the other people out there who have just had no direction. We've fought that we'd go back to retraces. That's been the fight that we've had. And we always said that once we got back to the retraces, that's where retail always buys. It's what we always said the whole time, is that retail always buys at the retraces. And there's usually a really good narrative for it to happen. And we actually have a really good narrative, and we do have retail buying. So when it comes to Bitcoin, just recognize where we're in the retraces at this point. And it's bittersweet. It's like, it was right the whole time, but you don't get that from Twitter. You get called a fudder. It's always like that. But it is what it is. We are back into retraces. Good luck to anybody who is going long into the ETF. I wish you the best of luck. But just recognizing we are in the retrace levels. This was the discussion for the last year and a half. I have been distributing my Bitcoin in here. If we get above $48,000 for Bitcoin, I will have finished selling all of my FTX collapse Bitcoin. I will be done if we get above 48. I am mostly done, but I will be officially done above $48,000. Which means there is a chance I will have sold all of it the day before the ETF decision. So, here we go. And don't be misconstrued. If this thing shoots in a straight line up, that would be fantastic. I would cheer for that all day. But just as a technical analyst, as somebody who's every time I provided an opinion or a thought for the last year and a half making videos, it's always been that we'll go back up here because that's what the technicals all suggested. And I showed it 100 bajillion times and beat it into the ground with you guys that we'd be heading back up in here. But beyond here, this is where it's a lot of just guessing and crossing fingers and hoping and wishing beyond here. I do cheer for it to go beyond there, but just for the ideas that I've had that we'd get back up in here, this has pretty much been met for Bitcoin. Like I've said, I still think there's several months of optimism throughout the markets. I'm just not convinced that it's going to be in Bitcoin. And I'm always trying to be a forward thinker. And be 2 steps ahead. The herd hates that. The herd lives in the exact moment of the day of what is actually happening today. But I am curious. I really, really, really am curious of what the narrative will be like after the ETF and where thoughts will go and how the market will respond. And if it's going to be a moment of, okay, great, that's behind us. Now, where do we go speculate? Right? That's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, they got it. Sell the news, right? We all know it. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Is that what this is? And then does there now become new rumors that form? Right? So that's what I'll be keeping my eyes out for. But I do also know we're in the retraces. Retail is euphoric. And for the first time since November of 2021, we have hit extreme greed. Right? So, there we go, Bitcoin. All right. So there you go. I don't know if we'll get a video out today, probably tomorrow. But we'll talk a lot about stuff. Let's go back to that. When it comes to Bitcoin, so let's talk about just the journey of actually getting here really quick, and how everybody screamed, not everybody, a large segment of crypto and influencers were screaming for us to go to 12K, right? Screaming for us to go lower. How many times did we see that we're going to be doing a repeat of 2019? right, in 2020. And so I've constantly said, no, we're not doing 2019, 2020. And even if you thought we were doing 2019 and 2020, we would need to actually go back to the retracement levels first for that to actually end up happening, right? So if you had the 2019, 2020 playbook in your mind, it should have been getting here first. That should have been your 2019, 2020 playbook. So to understand what 2019 and 2020 was like if you were not here, this is where we went, right? We went back here to these retracement levels and then reversed from here, right up in here into these retracement levels. If you go back, let's go to, we'll come back here, but we'll go to Bitstamp. If you go back here, where do you get to? You get back to the 618 retracement level, and then you fall right back down to the previous support level, right? So even in like the circumstance of if you're going on the 2017 bull run, you got back up into the retracement levels, and then you had a big fat wash that came afterwards that ended up happening. So even if you want to keep reflecting back on previous examples and previous turn-ups, and you want to, whether or not you think that this is either Doomtown, or if you think this is 2019, or if you think this is 2016, all of those examples proved problems here, right? They proved problems back at the retracement levels. And so one of those things we have watched over here on the channel has been that had this correction and this recovery has really mimicked that of 2014 through 2016. So, obviously you all know it. I expressed extreme concern due to where the stock market is. It's hard for me to see some major bull run happening for Bitcoin with the potential of this knocking on the door with the US stock market, in that it took getting all the way to the 4.236 extension for the ETF to eventually get released out here. But even in this example, we've shown this thing on the BLX, that even on these things, what do you always end up doing? You end up throwing yourself back, right? There becomes some throwback that eventually ends up coming in here on all of these as you get back into these retracement levels to go back test the previous support. So even if you're some super mega ultra bull on Bitcoin, there's just the big wide open gap that still sits down below there. You guys are probably used to the last year and a half of me being like up, but it's because we have finally gotten there. We have finally gotten to Bitcoin's market cap actually hitting the 618 retracement. And in each of those circumstances, whether you use 2019, whether you say this is Doomtown scenario and this thing is going down forever because the Great Depression is coming and this thing's going to hit the fan and it's game over. So even we can eliminate that one, right? And then not saying that's not going to happen. That very well could be happening here. But let's just eliminate it. We'll just go to bull scenarios. Even if you used bull scenarios, all the people who were saying 2019, 2020, this is what happened. You came off the floor, you got back to the retracements and then fell. And then even when you go back and you look into, hold on. You go back and you look at how we've been moving along here in 2022, 2023, and now into 2024 in relation to going back to 2014, 15, and 16. This was where the struggle was at. So, if you just so happen to have a big narrative out there. So just, exercise those thought processes. It's very, remember, content creation right now is very, there's a big incentive to be bullish on Bitcoin and to increase your follower count right now, to perpetuate the fun, to perpetuate the excitement. The things Bitcoin has going forward, of course, this is where the stock market sets a new all-time high. But at the same time, show me examples where we go back and we get back to these retracement levels and problems don't occur. They just don't exist. It happens every time throughout Bitcoin's history. We get back there, and then problems do emerge for Bitcoin from these price levels. So just keep that in mind. Do with it whatever you will. But we did it. We always said we get back up in here, and now it's just going to be, how is this thing going to look? Will this morph into more of a distribution structure? Or will we just keep on 2020 in it, right? This is, you guys know it. We followed this. This has been what 2020 looked like. It kept marching up in here. You had the stock market break out into new all-time highs back here in 2020. We get the stock market in new all-time highs here in 2023. This thing has just continued to march up, just as it did back in 2020. But we know that's not historically how things go, and we also have a timed event, right? We've had a front running of a timed event set to expire tomorrow. So there will no longer be the speculation on will it happen, won't it happen? We will know tomorrow. And then it just becomes, how does this structurally look like, right? If there's some like big move that takes Bitcoin back to like $38,000, then it's just one of those longer kind of distribution cycles, right? And this is going to be that opportunity for those altcoins to really get moving and get rocking throughout all of during a multi-month period until the Fed starts doing their cutting cycle, which of course we know retail is going to do the same thing they always do. They are going to get super bullish, thinking that the Fed cuts are going to be a good thing. It's just what they're going to do. If you think retail behavior has changed, sorry about that. If you think they've gotten smarter in any way, they haven't. The herd is always the same. It always does the exact same thing. And if we hadn't talked about it for so long to say that they would become ultimate bulls back into the retracement levels, which what did they do? We called it the wall of worry. We're climbing the wall of worry. And then eventually you reach a place into the retracement levels, and that is where retail becomes bullish. They get bullish and they get their narrative to get bullish at it, right? So we'll get through it. We'll see how it goes. But again, if we get above $48,000, I will have been done with my 2022 FTX collapse Bitcoin. It will all be sold if it gets above 48. Most of it already is. The final bits and pieces of it will be if we get above 48. So, we're here. I know I'm supposed to be coming on here and being like, yeah, Bitcoin, ETF, baby. But, that's not what we're doing. Andrew says, people are mad at XRP right now. That's the best way to have it. People scared and worried about it. So, all right, there you have it. That's Bitcoin. Bitcoin makes it back to the retracement levels. And if this is your first time around, I get chastised for being a bull when prices are low. And then, I get chastised for, being cautious and, taking profits and selling when prices get high. That's the way you're supposed to, that's the way you're supposed to act in markets. But I'll always be the enemy. And it's not that I enjoy that. I don't. I wish I was loved by everybody. But I'm not. not if you're buying low and selling high, you are not a friend of the crowd. The crowd wants someone to perpetuate bearishness for them while they're fearful at the lows, and they want you to perpetuate bullishness at the highs when they finally buy back in. It's just not what we do here. We have to go through the tough stuff. We go through, loading up during the depths of despair with everybody screaming negativity, and then, making that tough decision. What do they call it? They call it, you have to be stupid enough to buy it when it's low, and you have to be smart enough to sell it when it's high. And that's one of the harder things to do. but we try to keep a level head and go through that stuff in here. So bittersweet to be here, up in here. Now, of course, the fingernail biting all says, all right, do we see the narrative change? Do we see the speculation change? And do we see the altcoins catch some more movement after that throwback that happened there last week? So now we're just kind of waiting for a turn up to happen over here. And then we'll see if that's the end for Bitcoino. But I also know how this market reacts to is that, like, if the stock market tops and Bitcoin starts pulling down, everybody's going to say, no one could have seen this coming for Bitcoin. It was impossible for it to be foretold. But again, it's tying all these big pictures in here. If you think there's not a magical unicorn fairy dust, puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, God, or a simulation that Bitcoin could get created here and then an ETF gets released here. Man, what are the chances of that? Or is it all planned? Or is it all a simulation? Are we in a computer program? Or is God just testing you to the ultimate levels? It is something crazy to think about, and it's crazy to think about. Let's go to the market cap. That retail acts the way it does. That, you get back here and you talk about it for so long, and you get back in here and there they are. They're full blown euphoric. It's amazing. It's incredible. It. I mean, it was just 3 months ago. They were sitting there screaming, we're going 23K, 20K, 16K, 12K. And now we are going to infinity. Right. It's unbelievable. And I've tried to share that with you and tell you those stories, how retail does react in retracement levels for all these years. And that's what they do. And sure enough, they are. But a lot of people have a lot of realized gains. If things slows down, this is usually where we start to see those altcoins go bananas. So we'll keep our eyes on it every day. But okay, there you go. Bitcoin still continuing up. Bitcoin at 46,622. Obviously today's not so hot. Yesterday was the big day where all the moves ended up happening. Let's jump over here to XRP. XRP still holding on top of the support level that it's had. So this was the big Wyckoff. It's still sitting right there on top of it. Nothing has changed in here. Dow Jones, we haven't acknowledged the stock market now that you've been open for 21 minutes. Dow Jones is down 280 points. The Nasdaq's down 127. The S&P is down 30. But they were big days over there in the stock market yesterday. Let's look at it on the daily time frame, see if it's kind of like taken back the jump that it had yesterday. So kind of a wild candle there, right? So big wild candle there yesterday, and then boom, taking it back. Let's look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was up even more yesterday, right? No, not so much. So there you go. That's its previous all-time high right over here. We'll scoot that over. There you go. Which is very similar to like what we've looked at over here on this stuff, right? We've talked a lot about what distributions look like, new all-time highs, pullbacks, another attempt at the all-time high, and then complete failure. And again, this is why, like, even though we're in these retraces and stuff, I'm not sitting here thinking, it's going to be ultimate gloom town. There's still time for a lot of stuff to happen in this market. There's a lot of time for Bitcoin to just waddle sideways through here for months on end, as the altcoin market does a lot of stuff, just because we see those same things over there in the stock market, that it doesn't look like this would be a very unique topping structure for that to just happen right there. And then it just goes straight down. It's typically going to work it out in here for a minute. And we'll see if Congress ends up banning themselves from owning any stocks for the sake of ethics, because they're good people finally. But typically, we still continue to see positive things happen in markets until we actually end up getting the cuts to start. The starting of cuts is that signal that the reason they're even cutting in the first place is bad problems are on the horizon. So we haven't had the cut start. We are still in the pause. And the market does price in that on January 31st, which is you could do the math. 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, right? 3 weeks and 1 day, that is still anticipated that we will still be in the pause. And historically, that has still continued to be good for markets. And as we've gone through this stuff, you can get 1 or 2 cuts and things have still historically been okay. It's where you start getting into the dicey stuff. But those are typically the signs of, hey, the only reason they're cutting in the first place is there are problems happening underneath the hood. They're doing their best to keep it as hush-hush as they possibly can. But the reason they're cutting in the first place is there are problems. So there's still time out there in the market, as we've even talked about in all this stuff, talking about, looking for the year ahead, excitement, and then rolling over. Thing about Bitcoin, though, of course, is just that it's finally gotten to really about the maximum extension that I think it can get. Like we've said, this is going to be this area right over here being the area where I'm going to guess it just can't get through that one, which would be 52. And I don't know if it's even going to get up to 52. I'm not going to take the bets on my FTX collapse stuff of getting that high. But this has been that area, which we've talked about for forever, being as high as I could think that Bitcoin could end up going in. And we're very close to it. So now it's time to see if the rest of the market can show up for the party and get its opportunity to do the same thing. So, all right, there you go. DXY 102.39, gold 20.34. So gold and silver are up slightly this morning. I'd call that almost flat. Stocks mostly down. Coinbase getting hammered. Right. So Coinbase down. Well, I don't know if you call it hammered, but 2.5%, 2.7%. Right. And that's one thing to think about too, right? So everybody is speculated. So we've looked at this from just a technical perspective for forever, called clowns for buying Coinbase down in here, with this being the target area. We get here before the ETF. We know Coinbase is the custodian of all ETFs, but shouldn't that mean it's super bullish and should keep on going? Why is it struggling so hard here right now? Was it front run, right? And that's the big question about Bitcoin as well. Was it just completely front run? And was it front run back to the retracement levels? So we'll see. But all right, there you go. That's really the messaging of today. Bitcoin has gotten back to retracement levels. We don't know what's going to happen upon the news release of the ETF. But the thing that does typically happen is that when we get back to retracement levels, retail is super euphoric. Retail is super bullish. Finally, they don't climb the wall of worry. They scream down, down, down during the whole wall of worry. And then by the time you get back to the retracement levels, retail tends to become super bulls. And for the first time, finally, once we actually hit the 618 retracement level, we do finally hit extreme greed for the first time for Bitcoin. Extreme greed, of course, is... do you want to be a buyer in extreme greed or extreme fear? You know what I mean? Like, we all know, I know. I know. No. Not an extreme greed. That's where, there's all the liquidity to be able to sell into while they're extremely greedy, or whenever they're extremely fearful, there's all the liquidity to be able to buy it. But that's what you see, right? You see retail all buying up in here into the extreme greed. But tomorrow's our big day. I do cheer for positive outcomes. I don't ever want to play the villain. That's not ever what I'm here to do. But I will get painted that way. And the problem with being painted that way, of course, is because we spent so much time fighting against them that they finally capitulate back in. But they capitulate back in at the place where we were going, that we were shooting for the whole time. But my thoughts are probably that this is got to chill out in here for some time, right? So we'll see how it goes. We got to obviously get through the big event over this week. So what a big week. What a big week. All right. There you go. We'll hop into news really quick. The Bitcoin bull cross is about to hit for the first time since 2016. Okay. I mean, I don't even have to look at a bull cross to know what happens with bear crosses. What happens with death crosses? Bottom's usually already in after a death cross happens. So is a bull cross really anything? I don't know. Standard Chartered tips 200,000 Bitcoin by late 2025 if ETF is approved. Fake news, crypto panic. Binance gains users as market share falls. Gary Gensler issues warning on crypto ahead of potential spot Bitcoin ETF. Nothing left to decide. Former SEC chair says Bitcoin ETF is inevitable. That was Jay Clayton over there on Fox Business News, I believe. He was on CNBC, I think, maybe. SEC reissues crypto FOMO warning amid hope for spot Bitcoin ETFs. Honduras special zone officially recognizes Bitcoin as a unit of account. Gary Gensler issues warning on crypto ahead of potential. Okay. Did I lose? Okay. Bitcoin miner core blah. Spot Bitcoin ETF issuers file amended S1 applications, right? So they're all still submitting their final stuff that SEC has requested from them. CoinDesk, you got anything? BlackRock, VanEck, update Bitcoin ETF filings within hours. SEC hustles to answer latest Bitcoin ETF filings. News, Unity Software to lay off 1,800 employees or 25% of their staff. Oh, stock futures are lower Tuesday as rates rise. Kramer cheers Monday's tech gains and says keep a diverse portfolio with an eye toward healthcare. Uh-oh. An eye toward healthcare. We've always said that the number one... Where is it? There we go back to the Dow. What's the number one component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average? It's United Healthcare. Okay. Live updates. Trump, Jack Smith face off some presidential immunity in appeals court. Microsoft multi-billion-dollar investment in OpenAI could face EU merger probe. Tuesday's analyst calls. Netflix downgraded by Citi. Okay. Bloomberg, Boeing. Okay, so apparently, yesterday I made the statement. I go, how the heck were they able to find a doorknob of an airplane that fell out? Well, apparently cell phones got pulled out of there too. I do remember reading that in the original article or in the original videos too, that cell phones flew out the window, got sucked out the door too. And apparently they were able to trace a lot of the pieces of it down to still some of those cell phones survived the fall. And they were able to locate where the cell phones were and then locate the rest of the fallen debris. Boeing blowout occurred hours before a U.S. deal on 737 MAX crashes set to expire. Alaska Air. Okay. iPhone survived 16,000-foot fall. There you go. Trump seeks immunity. Stock slip as tech-led bounce proves short-lived. Microsoft's OpenAI ties face potential EU merger. U.S. and allies met secretly with Ukraine. Bill Gates cast shadow on treasuries, sees the 10-year overvalued. I said Bill Gates. Bill Gross. Okay, there you go. That's what you have it. Let's go ahead and hop on into the chat as we get the day kicked off and we get ready. There's not too much to say in regards to the markets outside of being like, look, we're at the retracement levels and we've got a big catalyst coming tomorrow. And it's a catalyst we've all seen from a mile away. The Hopium on Twitter will say, it's not priced in. Of course it's priced in. You're insane. It's priced in. But what's not priced in is probably how much is the demand actually going to be? How much has the market actually priced in this amount of time? Even who cares if it even matters? We're back at retracement levels. Get ready for tomorrow. All right, Ben Heller, BCB, thank you for being the GOAT. With Bitcoin in extreme greed and else struggling, is this close to the top of Bitcoin dominance? We've shown the dominance forever. I don't want to do a ton of... You could see, we've talked about this, that the majority of the market has all reversed in June, right? You could see others has reversed in here. The thing impacting Bitcoin dominance the most is going to be Ethereum. It's also got USDT and it's got USDC compiled into that Bitcoin dominance, right? So once we start removing things, like if you just remove a couple of them, like if you remove Ethereum or if you remove XRP and you look at how Bitcoin has performed versus the other thousands of assets, the other thousands have done well. It seems like we're in a pause right in here as we get ready for this. This is one of these things that we have looked at a lot over the time has been Bitcoin dominance plus Ethereum plus USDT plus USDC as the safety trade, right? That we would get these pullbacks. Now we're kind of paused out in here right in now. The thing that this chart doesn't tell us, of course, that would be like And it doesn't, you don't even actually see it show up in here in the dominance, as if it was, is it a black swan or is it a non-event? Does it not matter? Right here, that's your C19 crash just happening right out of nowhere, just right in there with no impacts to dominance, right? The whole market crashes 70% and there's no impact on dominance, but we don't see anything changed in there, right? So this thing has still just been following along in here, moving its way down, finding the supports here on top of here, finding its way supports down on top of here, and now kind of waddling around in here. Now, how long is it going to have to waddle around in here still? Let's hope it's quick, right? Let's hope it's quick. But it's definitely still just been following along in here. So I don't pay attention to Bitcoin dominance in particular, and I've built that strong case. And it's not that I don't pay attention to just Bitcoin dominance in general. I don't pay attention to the actual Bitcoin dominance metric standalone because it is so influenced by Ethereum and by USDT and USDC. But the rest of the market, it shows a completely different picture. We know that others, the entire altcoin market reversed 7 months ago versus Bitcoin. So like when we look at things like this, you go Bitcoin dominance, right? What is Bitcoin dominance? It's a representation of Bitcoin with the whole market, right? So you could also say, okay, well, what is the Bitcoin market cap over the total market cap, right? Sure enough, that's the exact same picture that we were just looking at for Bitcoin dominance. And so we can do it like this. Right, and that's what Bitcoin dominance is, right? What percentage of the market cap is Bitcoin's market cap? So on the bottom, here's Bitcoin dominance. Up here is Bitcoin market cap over total market cap. As you can see, they're identically the exact same thing, right? So what happens if we start like removing some things, right? So total minus, how about Tether, minus USDC, right? Starts to change a little bit. This peak has shifted. That these are not as high anymore. What happens if you say, how about we remove Ethereum only? Right? Oh, it shifts even more now, right? Suddenly, we start seeing that the peak of it all comes in versus the entire altcoin market, right? All this is Bitcoin versus the entire altcoin market, excluding Ethereum. Dominance, okay. How about you just remove a couple more, right? How about versus XRP? Whoops. How about versus BNB? It's not going to give me, oh, there it is. Right? So it's like the Bitcoin dominance, when we are so focused on the top couple of coins, when you're looking at like Ethereum or BNB or XRP, it's like the narrative is Bitcoin dominance is crushing it. But when we look at Bitcoin versus everything else, the whole rest of the market, the dominance topped a long time ago, which are these things we represent when we were looking at Bitcoin dominance plus Ethereum plus UST plus USDC. That Bitcoin dominance has topped a very, very long time ago. It topped back in June, which is why we see that represented here in others. Why you see that others represents everything excluding the top 10 of the cryptocurrency market and how it's done in obtaining dominance share, and that the market has been bouncing back. It's those mega caps. That if you view Bitcoin versus the mega caps, that's where the struggle has really been throughout the market. But everywhere else, the market has just been rallying back versus Bitcoin. Obviously, we're stalling out, struggling here as this pullback has been happening in here, but that hasn't been the picture since June. It's just been a continuous climb. Robert Barker, hey BCB. Have you heard of Compound? The chart looks very similar, if not identical, to XRP. Do you have any insights on this project? Thanks. No, I don't have any insights on it for you. It's also a coin that just never shows up in any type of developer activity or any type of reports or anything like that I see. So it's something outside of my wheelhouse that it's not on my radar. Right? Those are just like lessons learned from 2021 on like what is my attention going to get focused on, and it's going to be on things that had a better statistical probability of performing well and has to match certain criteria. Compound doesn't come to mind on being anything landing in any of the lists that I've built. Chris in Akumai. El Goat. I just wanted to say once again, thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. As always, greetings from Mexico. Chris, thank you very much, brother. And then he also gifted a BCB membership. Man, thank you very, very much, Chris. Thank you for the kind words. Forrest Hayden. Trading Crypto UK. Could you pull up the dominance chart with Bitcoin, ETH, and stables and share your thoughts? Thanks. Oh, there we go. I think we already just did that. There you go. Russell Rhodes. Thank you, Trading Crypto UK. Russell Rhodes. Can you look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, please? We just lost the June bear market low. So did XRP Bitcoin. Is this concerning for alts? Cheers. Right. So we don't really look at alt versus Bitcoin charts, right? If you have found anybody capable, ETH over Bitcoin, is that how you do it? No, ETH Bitcoin, like this, right? Right. So now the question will become: is this a liquidity flush? Did everybody set their stop losses below here, and now it's just going to flush them out and take it out, right? With these types of charts, we don't bring these up on the channel very often. If I found that we could like consistently do things to pinpoint like, hey, when these particular things happen on these charts, this is the reactions we end up getting, I would bring these up on the charts. I just don't see them often enough. I find way too much chaos in these individual charts. And then, when things happen, they show up like this, right? They show up in these straight lines whenever these things just end up happening. And so, the thing about when you take out a low, now you're left with the question, is this a big breakdown? Maybe. Is this just a liquidity flush because everybody set their stop losses below here? That's possible too. The thing about this, of course, while this is happening, what do you have? You would have a big liquidity flush happening, right? Just like I think from a narrative perspective, right? And I don't know the answer because I don't pay attention to this chart too often. But like when I think about it for a minute, I say to myself, all right, it took years for that to happen, right? Right. This was set back in June of 2022. So it took over a year and a half for this to finally happen in here. This gets pushed through. All the stop losses are going to get triggered in here. And what will the stop losses be doing? They'll be selling their Ethereum to buy Bitcoin, right? So they're getting stopped out and they're getting Bitcoin instead. And where are they having to get stopped out and get Bitcoin at? Here, right? So is that a perfect formula for that to just be a complete wrong footing happening to where all those people then get sucked into Bitcoin here? I can't find my chart. I have so much going on here. And then it just this thing reverses back up above it afterwards. Maybe, right? It's just narrative, but yeah. These particular charts are definitely not my wheelhouse. And if you think I haven't attempted to put a lot of time into them, I absolutely have. I just do not find there's enough structural in here to be able to say, hey, this is what always ends up happening with these things. From measurements, from timing, all those things, very, very, very difficult in here. But if I had to say, wow, isn't it ironic that gets taken out there at the exact moment that you get there? That seems a little ironic that the liquidity would pull them into Bitcoin here at the retracement level. Pretty ironic. So we'll see. Chris Coney. Do you look at wait, is that wait? I think I just did that one. Russell? Oh, we just did that one. Chris had the same question right after that about Ethereum. Do you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart on a higher time frame level? It broke key. Just curious if your views. And I don't have strong views, but that would be, that's something I do notice. I do recognize that anybody who had stop losses set below that low just got pulled into Bitcoin at the 618 retracement, right? Zeesh. Oh, wait. I missed one. M. Malley 86. Jim Cramer tweeted Bitcoin has topped. Yeah. Thing about that, I know we all want to sit here and say, oh, anything inverse Cramer. Wasn't it 4 days ago he said it was unstoppable? You know? I don't know. Yeah, but 4 days ago he said it was unstoppable. If you don't remember, the thing I got asked to repeat often is my impersonation of Jim Cramer when he went on Anthony Pompliano's channel before the top came in. I'll never sell my Bitcoin, Pop. I mean it. 1 week later, he sold it all. And then he became a bear, and he was bearish at the top. If you don't know that, with Bitcoin, that first time. Right? Was it second time? First time. I think it was there in April and May of 2021. He lured in all retail and then dumped on them. So, you can try to inverse read that, but what about 4 days ago? Did you sell all your stuff 4 days ago because he said it was unstoppable? I don't know. Zeesh, member for 5 months, says, remember you showed the structure of 2020 where alts deviated, but Bitcoin stayed up. Could that be the idea happening now, just later than expected? Yeah, it's always possible. I don't have all that prepared in here. We might be able to get it quickly. Total 3. And total 3. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. It's going to make me go to the daily time frame. Right. So notice that you get breaking out in here, and you still even pull back more here in total 3. Right. It's not unusual that you see these give and takes. Right. Everybody is fine with it when you do it for 2 months, where the altcoin market's really outpacing it, and then the second you get a little bit of a divergence, everybody loses their mind, and then it swaps back, and everybody's all excited again, and then it swaps back, and everybody's like, "Oh no, it's the end of the world." But yeah, these things can happen for sure. And like the one that we originally were talking about was this one right in here. Right? You're gonna work right there. Right. Which we never really got a big divergence. We really just kind of kept outperforming. I think the one where there was a small divergence, but not a huge one. So you kind of grinded up in here and almost grinded down, but more of like grinded sideways in here for the altcoin market, right? It's really as close as it's gotten. This is really your first one. This is your first divergence there. Otherwise, altcoin market's just been like, let's go. Whereas Bitcoin's been like that, right? Mr. Nobody, I heard on Twitter retraces are fake. Only narratives and coins that are already up should be bought. When Bitcoin course 3 charting trolls and narratives. Yeah. Well, that's the emotions part, right? Everybody's like, I only have to worry about my emotions when I'm feeling sad. No. No, you don't. Your emotions are in full control right here. And you know what? Part of your emotions are actually fear, and you don't even know it. There's people who are buying and holding out of fear. And that's fear that they don't know what's going to happen with the Bitcoin ETF, and the price could moon without them. It's not greed to say, I'm buying because it's going to shoot to the moon. It's, I'm scared it will shoot to the moon, and I'm not part of it. All paying attention to narratives and not charts, right? So what do we do on this channel? This channel is charts, right? I mean, that's primarily what this channel is. A couple of tinfoil hats, we play frog once in a while, and I make a dingus out of myself a lot. But otherwise, it's charts, right? And so you look at charts, and we say, well, here's where the chart is. This is what we said for a very, very long time, and it's here. And sellers, it's your special day. You made it. You went through all of it. You hit it. but Mr. Nobody, thank you. Andrew Handelsman says people are mad at XRP right now. Yeah, it's pretty normal. Derek Daniels, morning, brother. How did you choose which stocks to short and which did you side on? If you're comfortable sharing, no worries. You're the man, BCB. I look forward to meeting you one day. Right. So I have a hedge, right? It's just a hedge and it's not very big. I have doubled it. I have doubled the size of my hedge. But I'll show you the ones in particular that I have. No, and let's be very clear. I'm totally fine with these things getting blown out, right? I have way more crypto than I have shorts, and this is just a protective mechanism. And if you have no protective mechanisms, and if your only thing is I'm going all in long Bitcoin right here, ETF, you have no protection. You are crazy. But over there in the stock market, it's been like, okay, so we know that this thing is getting way up here. If this thing, for some reason, the bottom just falls out of it completely, do I have any type of downside protection to happen in there? So hopefully we just keep going up and all of my downside protection gets wiped away and goes to absolute zero. One is Microsoft, right? So picked Microsoft because of topping structures, right? So like an idea of this would be very similar to like what Bitcoin's topping structure looked like, right? What do we have? We have distribution happening in here. We'll put something side by side. We'll put Ethereum. Right. So first leg of distribution happening in here. Where does it pull back down into? Senor. First leg of distribution, where does it pull back to? Here. What do? We get the new all-time high happening in here, right? And then you lose it. And then that's the end. It's fully game over from there, right? So we have that. We have the first attempt at the new all-time high, which fails, right? Talk about that a lot. And we get the second one, right? So the shorts were entered. The first round of shorts were entered there on November 15th. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know there's somebody out there ready to do it in the blink of an eye. I think it was on the 15th. So right there. Those have April expirations. Those have now been doubled with other ones that expire in September. Then I also have Apple. Same concept, right? So these were also entered there on November 15th. Is it November 15th? I think so. Is it December 15th? I think it's November 15th. Yeah, November 15th, I think. Conceptually, same idea in here, right? You got your top, double top, right? So first leg of distribution happening in here, right? Pulls back down into the support levels. Pulls back down to support levels, gets the new high, the second attempt at a high. That's the one I start going for, right? Now we're pulling back down. So Apple, I have added a couple other ones, feeling less confident about them, but I have added them. I added Amazon, as Amazon is now back into the 702 retracements, and I've added Netflix, as Netflix as well is back into the retracements. So these all have September expirations, and the put strike prices are not exceptionally low, right in here around these March of 2023 levels. So it's not like the strike price is not low into new lows. The strike price is down in here in these areas. So, but again, when it comes to doing any type of stuff in the stock market, which we don't talk about very often here, we primarily talk about crypto. And when it comes to doing anything with any type of puts, calls, options, anything like that, you are totally, those options typically go to zero. You have to get it just right. Your probability of going to zero is much higher than your probability of getting it correct. So I don't treat these as I'm going to get rich. I treat these as, hey, look, I have this idea that like we could be really excited in this market for the next several months, but that eventually things could turn rough. And hopefully I time the market just right and I time it all perfectly. But in the event that the bottom falls out of the market and I miss it somehow, there was a little bit of downside protection in there in that. But I do cheer for at least the April expiration ones. I do cheer for the April expiration ones to expire worthless. So it is a hope that it's like buying an insurance policy on your house. You pray to God you never, ever have to use the actual insurance policy, but you buy it, right? It's kind of like that. Right. And so the hardest part about that, right, is you have to have timing. You have to nail timing, right? So what I have not done, right, and like if a day ever comes and it ever happens, I will say it. I have not Michael Burry, the big short, shorted this market. Any shorts that I have are totally hedges right now in the event that the market just drops aggressively, that there's a little bit of downside protection. It is not that I have sat there and shorted the market with a Michael Burry conviction in any way. And the thing about that is you do have to have your timing right. It is not like what we talk about, hey, timing is nearly impossible to predict. It's very difficult. When are we going to get here? Hey, we get here on January 8th, 2024. Okay. Random day. We finally get here, right? But you can't do that when you're using puts and when you're using calls and options. Your timing has to be right. If your timing is wrong, whoop, it's all wiped out. You do have a timeline. You have to get it right within. And if you don't get it right within that amount of time, you lose all your money on them. So they're not something we're going to talk about regularly on this channel or in any way. I say not suggesting you go do it because they're likely going to expire worthless. And if you're Michael Burrying, if you're the big shorting, this whole thing could turn out, if your timing is wrong, you could actually be right on the direction, but if your timing is wrong, it gets all wiped out. And that's why I'm not treating this as, I'm doing the big short on the stock market. I'm treating it as, hey, I'm going to have a little protection in here in case something happens earlier than I expect. I have some type of protection. I think I missed some stuff. Moon Barrel, thank you very much. He says, do you think it's possible a few big daily candles on ETF approval that briefly tap into all-time high but quickly turns into sell the news, similar to XRP shooting up on victory but quickly reversing? Thanks. Well, the thing about XRP shooting up on victory day, that what did surprise the market, right? The market didn't expect it that day. The market also had not priced in perfection. We didn't know what the end result of that would be. We did think there was a chance of a mixed ruling and didn't know it would end up being full blown in the actual ruling with perfect airtight seal gaps that she would rule not a security, nor that within the following hours after that, every exchange would relist XRP. So that was a big shocker to happen all in one day. And that candle only lasted 4 hours, and then it reverted back to being with just where the rest of the market was. What surprise is coming here today or tomorrow for Bitcoin? None, right? We also didn't expect it happening that day. There was no indication on July 13th that it was happening just that day at that time, anything like that. It was a total surprise to the market. So it's very different. Than what happened there. And the thing about XRP is it did go to technical levels. It went into the April levels and everything the whole market has been struggling at this point. So new all-time highs for Bitcoin, that's technically getting higher than anywhere. It's not a surprise. The market wouldn't be getting surprised. The market has totally anticipated this event coming in. So it wouldn't be anything new. I'm not going to bet on that happening. But again, it is an event we've never gone through before. We are all going through it for the first time together. I don't have past, you're listening to me right now. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I don't have past crypto experiences to draw on to say what will happen at the moment of this occurring, if it does occur tomorrow or the next day. I'm in that same boat with all of you of I don't know. The only thing that I can do that's within my control is look here and say, we're at retracement levels, the things they said we would never, ever get to. There is a narrative convincing retail to buy and totally convincing them that they can't afford to sell. And they have to practically fear buy it due to what would happen if it does do that. Those are concerns to me, because anytime we see those types of narratives where you get back to retracement levels, retail investors are overly cocky after just being fear mongers 3 months ago. They're suddenly overly cocky. That's usually not a good sign in retracement levels. But we'll see. We're going through it for the first time together. And it's also bad when retail is front running it, thinking they're early. They're not early. You're not early. But we'll see. Right? We're going to go through it together. We're all having to speculate on what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 days when this occurs. I think the one thing none of us have is that it just kind of drifts. Right? It just kind of drifts. I think if anything except moonshot for Bitcoin, it would be bad news for Bitcoin. People would lose interest. Whoa, now Ethereum ETF. Remember they filed that thing in Rhode Island for Ethereum? When Ethereum ETF? This market, if you think there's a 1 ounce of rational behavior in this market, there is not. But yeah, no, I'm not going to bet on that, brother. Moon, thank you, brother. Linton Dell, thoughts on SEC not banning themselves despite where we are on the charts? If they didn't ban themselves at the 4.236, would that sway your opinion? No, it's not going to sway my opinion. It's more of just a confirmation. If it did actually happen, it'd just be insane, right? That's not my entire thesis of the whole market is based on, and not SEC, it's Congress. If Congress didn't ban themselves, my whole thesis of everything and what I'm seeing on the charts is not dictated by Congress banning themselves from owning stocks. It's just if they did, come on, come on. I do want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I need to go back a little bit. I think so. All right, Oscar Hernandez, rawr, BCB, give BCB a rawr and hit the like. Thank you very much, Oscar, the most famous man on the channel. I'm just a pleb. This is the Oscar show. Justin, Poke Rant. If Bitcoin crashes to 30K, won't that destroy alts and cause XRP's price lower? Thanks. If it goes in a straight line down to 30K, it'd probably be pretty hard to see how the heck is that going to hold in there in a straight line down to 30K, right? I sure hope that's not how it goes. But yeah, if that happened, your thoughts are probably in line with mine. A straight line liquidation straight down in this market. Show me an example where it doesn't impact the rest of the market. Probably be pretty rough. Life of Shane. Happy Tuesday, BCB. Ethereum thoughts? Also XRP Bitcoin spread? Ethereum thoughts and XRP Bitcoin spread. I don't know. XRP, obviously, at the lows, just like Ethereum is, taking out that lower level. As for Ethereum, in accumulation schematics, it hasn't changed at all. It's still exactly the same as it's been. Right? Where is Ethereum? Ranging on top of that support, right? Ranging on that support, right? So like one thing I'd be like worried about if with that whole, everybody's looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. If this was breaking down, I'd be like, oh crud, yeah, that's probably not very good. But it's just ran flat, right? It's just ran flat into FOMOing the retracement levels. which is, so it's providing that extra exit liquidity up here, right? Life of Shane, thank you, brother. Derek Daniels, morning, brother. How did you choose which stocks to short? Okay, so that's where I accidentally had skipped ahead. There you go. Derek, thank you, man. I already got those for you. Joseph Wiley, if Bitcoin is rejected at retracement levels, won't alts go down with it? What are you taking? When are you taking profits on your alts? I'm still holding my alts. I'm very close to being at 20% in cash, right? Just with the selling that I've done over the last several months. So I'm almost at 20% cash. I'm not letting go of my alts just yet, unless something devastating showed up in the altcoin market. But I get it. Like, look at all these questions we have in here. This is exactly another fear thing for Bitcoin. I have to buy Bitcoin. It's up 3% in 2 weeks. My altcoins are going to die. They're doomed. They're horrid. I do know that this was doing really well for a little while, but then suddenly Bitcoin went up 4% and my alts pulled back, and everybody's panicking over altcoins. And like, do whatever you want to do, man. If you're way up like this in altcoins, do whatever you want to do. I'm not your trade caller. I want you all to know that I'm not your trade caller. I'll show you what's going on the charts, and I'm not your trade caller here. I'm not telling you sell your Bitcoin. I am. But I'm not telling you to do it. You do whatever the heck you want to do. As for altcoins, I'm still waiting it out. Like people get so caught in the day-to-day. It doesn't matter what I say or talk about and put like months out discussions. I put out the last 2 weeks. I put out like 4 videos, like say outlining like my thoughts for 2024. And like you look at the videos, you look at like the comments. It's like it's caught in the moment, caught in the moment, caught in the moment. I have an outlook, and we talk about this in Markets in the Morning every day, of like the next few months being okay. I hope Bitcoin does not go in a straight line back down to 30K. If it does, the altcoins probably will get hit, but I'm going to bet it's not. I'm betting that the big whales are distributing on retail. They would really be wasting a really good opportunity by just sending it straight back down. They would have a much better chance to just get all of the retail crowd to buy all their bags off them if they kept it up here for quite some time until this fell apart, until all of this happened. That would seem more likely to me. Why waste it for so long to get it all the way back up here and then end your party that soon? You just got retail for the first time to become bullish here after being bearish through the whole thing. They can distribute heavily onto retail here. I really would find it odd that they would go ahead and ruin that party for themselves right away. They'd keep it up there for a while, and then the party shifts over there to the altcoin market, as there's no yield being proven here any longer. So that's my thoughts. And I don't know how many times we have shown these charts, brother, on retracements for the rest of the market. I'm sure we've shown that 100 times. So I don't know if you're like just tuning in for the first time, or if you just chose to forget everything, or if you're new. There's still a lot of room left in here. If this thing just bottoms out and then this market was just crud, this thing just turns over and crushes, then the market was just crud. But we saw Bitcoin do exactly as anticipated. I'm not gonna think anything different for the altcoin market. I'm sorry. I just had my baby daughter last night, and I'm now listening to BCB in our room. It's a great morning. Dude, good for you. Whenever we have had children, and I've had to stay in the hospital room the next day, I'm usually feeling pretty crappy. I'm not feeling that good that second day after sleeping on that couch and all that screaming that has gone on all evening long. That is usually a rough morning. Good for you for being in good spirits. I'm glad to be a part of that and make your day better. Of course, I can't one up what you got holding there in your arms. But, and I always tell this to people too when they're in the hospital, this too shall pass. Before you know it, you will be at home and you will have a little bit of stability and not be in the craziness of a hospital. This too shall pass. You only got like a day left. You're out. Drunk Short says Gary Gensler just put out another tweet. Oh, what is good old Gary G have to say? If you're considering an investment involving crypto assets, be cautious. Crypto asset securities may be marketed as new opportunities, but there are serious risks involved. Read SEC Investor Ed's director take. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Drunk. Servorg, hi BCB, total 2 market cap, 702 retraces about 550 billion market cap. XRP needs about 500 billion to reach its 4.236. Do you see XRP able to that big of a share of the market cap? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, we're going to have to see how that's going to end up playing out in there, right? So you got about $500 billion in there. What does XRP have to get? 500 billion to get to $10, right? Isn't that what it would have to get? So you'd have to see some serious rotations, or you'd have to see this guy continue higher while the others not. One things we've talked about have been the corrections in here that, you know, if you pull something like that, then you could, right? Then you could. And if we got only to 500 billion, yeah. How does the math work? I don't see how the math works to get a, you know, $7, $8, $9, $10 XRP if this is the peak of total 2, right? The math just doesn't work. The only way that would happen is if like Ethereum entirely drained into XRP, and let's be real, that's not going to happen. That would have to be the case that would end up happening, and there's everything from Ethereum would drain into XRP. It's not. So when we get here, will XRP be there? It seems unlikely. We'll see the way the cards fold, though. Is ADA still following? Thank you, Savorg. Kushas is ADA still following the Ethereum Classic chart? Well, remember, that's a multi-year chart if you did that. Let's see if I still have it. Man, it's brutal. I have to go potty. I have to go potty. And I've been holding it for a while. And I just let 3,000 people know that. There you go. That would be your Ethereum Classic chart. Erica Martinez Hernandez wants to remind everyone to hit the like button. Rawr! Thank you very much, Oscar. And Erica Martinez. It's Erica Hernandez. Huang Nguyen says the EV Peter Griffin yesterday had me dead. Hit the like button. Yeah. When I'm editing my videos, I've told that story too. When I'm editing my videos and my family comes walking by and they hear me listening to it and they hear me go, they know my video is good. All right, XRP for you. New member, welcome. Night Shift, member for 5 months. Welcome. Kathy Woods, thank you. Kathy Woods and ARK Invest taking profits until Friday before ETF, according to CNBC Crypto Review Show. I don't know. Cameron Compare, thank you for all your teachings and your guidance over the past few years. Could you give an updated video on your exit plan for altcoins? Yeah, they're all waiting on the entire market to go. Once I've always said, well, I'll update those whenever it's time for me to sell them, whether that's short or whether that's low or high, whatever the time comes. We're not there, right? You don't have the altcoin market up yet. Cameron Compare, thank you very much. Harvey Barker gifted 5 BCB memberships. Harvey, thank you, brother. Dude, very kind. We'll try to get a members only live stream at the end of this week. Let's get through the ETF stuff, and then we can have something. Let's talk about. Let's stop getting in a holding pattern on this. Let's stop sitting here at the retracement levels. Let's get something let's get through that finish line first. Just have something to talk about. PTR, Bitcoin is going higher. Risk is increasing. Alts are not following. Things are getting concerning, BCP. Gosh. Were you concerned like 4 days ago? Okay. Harvey, do you see anything on the inverted Bitcoin chart? Keeping it spicy and honest, brother. Thanks for all you do. I haven't looked at the inverted Bitcoin chart in quite some time. We'll take a look at it tomorrow if we get a chance. I am already an hour and 13 into this. I'm going to have to kind of get through the rest of this, guys. Crypto Hammer, member for 5 months. Blockchain Backer Morning. My whole Twitter feed is 48K, then back to 30. Other than Creditable Crypto, any chance the herd is wrong? Dude, that is not what my feed looks like. My feed is not that we're going to 48 to 30, which would be that would be a proper take to have. But I haven't seen that once on my feed. My feed is nonstop Moon Boys. Andy Philpott gifted 1 BCB membership. Brother, thank you. John Shark XRP. It has been a while. All right. Thanks for the amazing XRP video the other day. I'm curious about your thoughts with the rise in meme coins on the XRPL, like Zerpay. Do you think there's any value there? Well, first of all, I do own some Zerpay, but, a lot of these, they're just, you got to look at the people who are doing it, what they're saying. Is it just, hey, we're just pumping this coin for the sake of pumping this coin? And I'm good with people building stuff on the XRP ledger. You just have to, like with any ecosystem, be mindful. Are people doing stuff? Are they like really trying to bring something of actual value, or is this just pump and go? And that's not just XRP. That is Ethereum. That is Solana. That is every ecosystem. There's good actors and there's bad actors. And to pay attention to it. And the same thing goes with NFTs, all that different stuff, right? The thing that we should be cheering for, though, is we should be cheering for people to be building on the XRP ledger. We as a community, I watch it over there on Twitter. If you build anything on XRP, you have a ton of people calling you a scammer. If you build anything, I hate to inform you this, XRP conspiracy theorists, that the Fed is going to buy back your XRP. You need to have people building on the XRP ledger. You need to be supporting people on the XRP ledger. And John, I'm not directing at you, but what I'm saying is, if you are like not doing any, if you are literally just sitting back and calling everything a scam that gets built on the XRP ledger, there's no incentive to build. The developer data is just going to continue plunging. Nobody's going to build because as a community, we've just become toxic towards anything except for global reserve currency built on the XRP ledger with secret CBDCs, and Ripple's going to save you all. How has that worked for you so far? Anybody? Encouraging honest development on the ledger is something we should all be cheering for in 2024. That's going to be my main focus on how I can help bring awareness to that on XRP in 2024. That is my New Year's resolution, is that. So, yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see, right? These are the first people trying to build any tokens on there with any value. We'll see, man. Just like with anything, though, you got to do your own research and see who's really doing something and who's just hyping. You know what I mean? Grumpy old men. Show your strew. Oscar has toilet problems, apparently. Can anybody help? Oh, Lord, even BCB does. What's going on today? All right. There we go. We have made it, you guys. We've made it to the end. Bitcoin is at $46,800. It's at the 618 retracement level. This is what we talked about for the last year and a half that we would get here. Congratulations. It's a victory. But of course, I'm the enemy of the people again, people. That is how it goes. That is how it goes. I was the enemy at the bottom. I'll be the enemy at the retraces. Hey, I was the enemy back in here. I always will be the enemy. I hate being it. I never want to be it. It doesn't help follower growth. It does not help subscriber growth or channel growth in any way. In any way. But I think you probably watch this channel because you recognize that that's how this goes. That's just what we do here. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for riding on the journey with me. Hopefully we see things turn up for the altcoin market soon as the FOMO for Bitcoin is getting near that craziness. So extreme greed. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out bcbacker.com to make all your wildest dreams come true of BCB videos. Check out the newsletter over there on blockchainbacker.substack.com. There are links in the descriptions of these videos and these live streams to both Substack, which is the Blockchain Backer newsletter, and over there to bcbacker.com. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream. Please give it a thumbs up. Thank you all for your support. You're very generous. I do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.